Only a few years ago, a shopping frenzy like this was unheard of in Cuba. The government had a tight grip on the country's economy. That is changing. Now Cubans are enjoying some of the perks of commerce. At the Cuevita market on the outskirts of Havana, traders are thriving. You can buy almost anything here, and cheaply.
It's a business like any other. We invest a little money to earn a lot more. Simple as that.
Isn't that capitalism?
No, it's socialism. But our way. I couldn't get work before. So when Fidel allowed us to set up our own businesses, everyone got a permit. And it's going well. Very well, even.
2 years ago, the Cuban economy was on its knees. American economic sanctions had taken their toll. The government responded by introducing reforms to boost the private sector. Normally, Havana decides what goods can come in and out of the country, but much of the merchandise on sale here comes in illicitly.
There are people who go abroad and bring us back products. Then we sell them.
You'll get yourself shot.
No, it's not a big deal.
Today, around 400,000 Cubans are self-employed. Not all of them declare their incomes and pay taxes.
The police don't let us work. If they catch me, they cause me problems.
Slowly releasing its hold on the marketplace while keeping it under control and not reneging on its socialist principles. That's the difficult task facing the government. The man taking up that responsibility is Marino Murillo, head of the country's Economic Policy Commission.
Updating or modernizing the Cuban economic system implies that non-state formulas will have their place in the economy, but the basis of the system won't change. The state will remain the owner of the principal means of production. We have to put in place a model in which the development of productive forces allows us to maintain the social victories of the revolution.
Cubans have been living under a top-down system since the revolution in 1959. Mabel and Orlando live in a state-owned apartment. All products on their dinner table, from the coffee to the sugar and the bread, have also been subsidized.
The only thing here that's not subsidized is the milk. We bought it on the black market. It's fresh, and that's the only way we can get it, because the shops only stock powdered milk.
And it's very expensive.
Yes, very expensive.
Cuba's thriving black market, a symptom of a system in crisis.
Fidel Castro said it himself. An economic system in which the state subsidizes everything and takes control of all aspects of life and society is unsustainable.
Hair salons, for example. Until recently, they belonged to the state. The government had to pay the hairdressers' salaries and pay for their supplies. Then, out of nowhere, they all closed.
Like 3/4 of the country, the couple are both employed by the state. Mabel, whose mother is French, works as a translator. She earns a modest €30 a month.
30 to 35 euros is a good start, but it's not enough. Cubans have always done small jobs on the side. For example, I give language lessons at home now and again. I also do private translations. With our lifestyle, we don't really need much more than that. But if you can get your hands on an extra €100 a month, you have a pretty easy life.
Mabel does her weekly grocery shopping at the local state-owned street market.
What's good about this place is that since it's state-owned, the prices are fixed, and the stall owners can't inflate them.
The government also distributes basic supplies. Everyone has their own ration book, an initiative first introduced 50 years ago.
This is the famous libreta, our ration book. Everything we buy each month is written down in here.
Oil, beans, salt, flour. Mabel and Orlando can pick up a month of stock for under €1.
After this, I'll have to buy meat and things like that because our rations aren't enough. But it does help.
The system proved especially popular during the Cold War.
My older brother and sister's generation lived in a time when they had help from the USSR. The country received a lot of goods from the USSR, so despite the US economic embargo, we had everything we needed. Then suddenly we stopped getting products from the Soviet Union, and we only had what we could produce ourselves, which obviously wasn't enough.
Today, property in the Havana suburbs appears as dilapidated as those in the city centre. Most of the population lives beneath the poverty line. State education and health services are free, but employment and money is in short supply. Rolling power cuts, a common problem.
It's like this every day, all day, every day. To save socialism, they had to open a door to capitalism.
Ildania has lost faith in the revolution. She's upset in particular about a loss of values and widespread corruption.
The leaders, for example, they hide their taxes. They have several women, lots of lovers. They buy big mansions, like it doesn't matter. The consequences of all of this? Well, it's here. I live in this place in which I have no desire to live. It's cramped and filthy. I studied at university, and at my age, I still have to work to survive.
Ildania's quarter of Havana, Cayo Hueso, is its own museum of Cuban socialism. From school uniforms to food stalls, almost everything is owned and run by the government. But the first signs of liberalism are sneaking into society. Local farmers are now allowed to sell their own produce on the private market.
They went private and the prices rose a lot higher than the States. But the quality is also a lot better, and there's more on offer.
Do you have a permit? Do you have permission? Are you his girlfriend?
The economy is changing, but old habits die hard. The market supervisor, a state employee, is suspicious.
It's okay, you filmed the fruit, but you can't do the interview.
Is she your friend? She talks too much. It's worth this much and that much. You can't say that.
We've always lived with this repression. I'm not afraid to say it. We've always lived in fear and been repressed. It's true that there is an opening for democracy and for everyone to express themselves. But most people don't realize this, and the average Cuban still lives in fear.
For the moment, the single-party system here continues to reign supreme. But small signs of change are apparent. A new wave of entrepreneurs are opening private businesses, proudly displaying symbols of capitalism.
It's the first time I've seen this in Cuba. It's incredible. It's for the nouveau riche.
For the moment, at least, young Cubans will have to make do with window shopping in front of state-owned stores. Simple clothes are still considered luxury items.
With an average salary of €30 a month, we would have to stop eating for 3 to 4 months to be able to buy a pair of shoes like that. You can always find store owners who buy abroad to sell here, but the prices are still expensive. These items are reserved for those who have money, and not everyone can afford it.
Petty crime is commonplace. There are always those ready to exploit gaps in the system. For example, the lack of internet, which is almost non-existent on the island. Gemma is one of Mabel's best friends.
I sell information. I sell TV shows, films, soaps, programs, iPhone applications.
She downloads the shows abroad and saves them on external hard drives. Gemma's service is proving popular. Every day, she has new customers.
These are shows which don't appear on television here, at least not national television.
Customers copy the programs they want onto their computer. Thanks to her small enterprise, Gemma can bring in an additional €100 a month.
You can find anything on the black market. Hardware, for example. Most people buy it on the black market rather than in shops.
Anything. Soap, toothpaste, shampoo, phones. We can buy it all on the black market.
If you can find it in a shop, you can find it on the black market. It's the illegal trade which helps keep the economy ticking over. That's changing, though.
The state is legalizing everything.
Little by little, they're creating licenses to legalize all these things people have been doing for a long time anyway.
But change is proving slow. Many young Cubans are still tempted by a life abroad.
I have friends who have left, not because of the political problems, but because they want to buy things.
It's not enough to have free education and healthcare. We also want to experiment, to try new things. We need to be able to compare, to know if our world is better or worse. For me, I think there are lots of things Cuba is doing better than other countries. Before, I thought that Cuba, at least some areas of Cuba, were violent. Then I went to the Dominican Republic and I realized that wasn't the case.
Cuba has long been a fortress, but this year, for the first time, the government is allowing its citizens to travel abroad. For many, it remains a distant dream. Another life in another country, reliant on obtaining a visa and having enough money to make it happen.